Freddie Freeman of the Los Angeles Dodgers. He was
We saw
previously
him.
on the Atlanta Braves. We did. He hit a home
Yeah.
run in his first at-bat against the Braves after he played there his whole career. Very emotional in person. A kid was talking shit to me at Dodger Stadium. It was a great
That's
time.
great. That kid knew a lot too.
He knew a lot. He was a better shit talker than me. Freddie Freeman joined the Dodgers last year, Mike. He signed a contract for 6 years, $162 million. This is after he's already made $100 million in his career. So Freddie Freeman, 6 years, $162 million. He is making $166,000 per regular season game. There's 162 regular season games. So he's making $27 million a year, $166,000 per regular season game. The Dodgers had no need for him. They were a good team before they ever signed him, but they brought him into the fold. So then I walk into Dodger Stadium last year, right after they signed Freddie Freeman. You were there. And what's the first thing? First thing is a long line for the concessions. You don't see the front of the line. You just see the end of it. And you have to wait for an hour or so. But you walk in and you realize the beers are $18 for a small beer. Yeah. Now, after you already got there, you already parked and paid $30. You already drove there and used your gas, your expensive LA gas. After you bought tickets for your family for probably hundreds of dollars, now you're looking at the concession board and you're seeing $18 beers. Mike, people can't do this. Normal people can't.
Water's pretty expensive.
Too. Everything
very
is
expensive there.
But yet they brought in this star player who they didn't even need. They didn't even win a World Series last year. They didn't even do well in the playoffs with them. And they're paying him $166,000 a game, a night. Why can't we transfer any of that to the fans and say, hey, Freddie, let's pay you $100,000 a night. I know you're taking a big pay cut. You're only going to make it $100,000 today and $100,000 tomorrow and $100,000 yesterday. But no, they have to give it to the star athletes. But why? How did this vicious cycle start and why is it happening?
I think it's going to change in, let's say, 5 to 7 years, right? When the TV deals dry up, when there's not a lot of advertising money, when it all goes to streaming, they're not going to be able to charge all this money and make a ton of money from the TV deals, right? They're not going to be able to get $100 billion or whatever else they get for TV deals. It's going to be a lot less money. Like, I don't know how much Apple paid for the MLS, but it seems like they have every game. I don't know how much it was worth to them to have that. I'm sure they just want to dabble in sports. But I think eventually it's going to have to revert to a lesser pay, cheaper things at the stadium. Because eventually we don't go to football games because we enjoy Red Zone.
Bingo. Sports in person are dying. That's a whole another part of this discussion I didn't even mention yet. Sports in person are dying. We're in the age of the metaverse. Everything is virtual and you enjoy it from your own comfort.
Metaverse is tough. It's a little shaky right now.
That's what they're telling us. That's what they're telling us. AI is taking over. Everything is in our face, in your home. You don't have to go to actually experience it. Yet when you do go, you're charged way too much for every single aspect of it. Yet the guys on the field, and you're right, the TV deals have to reduce these contracts because the guys on the field, why does he deserve so much money every night?
So if we adjust all the salaries, let's say we go back to the 80s, like everybody's getting paid that. Where does it's almost like a trickle down effect, because if people want to watch it, there's obviously an audience for it. People are going to pay for it. But the concessions are the thing that's the problem. We don't want to go because there's so much money to like do these things. It's like going to Disney World. You go to Disney World. I haven't been in, 20 years, but
Wait, are you not a Disney adult?
I'm not a Disney adult. Dude, no way. I'm not a fan of Disney.
Shout out Disney adults. Probably don't listen to our show.
There's definitely one Disney adult that listens to our show.
Okay.
Yeah. Shout out to him. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I don't know who you're talking about.
Our friend Thomas. He's a Disney adult.
Oh, I didn't know.
Shout out to Thomas. He's a Disney adult. I hate Disney so much.
No problem with Disney adults. Go ahead.
I just think the way this is all going to go is if they want people back there. It's like TV. You're like, oh, get all these packages all free. Now all of a sudden we're paying the same amount as we're paying for cable. They're going to have to make it cheaper for us, the fans. They're going to have to subsidize the cost of some of the food. Remember, we're like, oh, you want a Dodger dog? It's $20 Dodger dog. Yeah,
and it's gross. It's not good.
It's a big wiener, but it's not like that good. It's a lot of meat, but it's not anything you're looking forward to. Oh man, have you ever been to a stadium like that food was so good? I want to come back to the stadium and eat.
There's good food sometimes. They charge a lot, but at least they're offering it in certain places.
Sure.
The Mets in New York City have great food. You don't pay $18 for a beer at a bar in Manhattan, Mike, in New York City or in LA, but you have to at a sporting event. It's so sick. You make a good point about the TV deals. I think the NFL has a long-term deal and they're the cash cow and they're okay for this cycle. It's the other sports. MLB is falling apart right now with the local regionals and Bally's going out of business. NBA has a new deal coming up. We'll see if they can cash in, or maybe it's not as high as they're expecting.
I'm sure
NHL is
they'll
going to
cash
have
in.
the same issue with Bally's. Some of their regional networks are going out of business, and that could affect the
Yeah.
structure for some of those sports. I do think it has to come down. I think it doesn't make sense where it is. I think the data is going to lag it, where like people like us are talking about it now, but it might not show up in the data until it's too late. And you might have very few people attending a lot of events for a few years until they figure out the cost structure. It really gets me fired up, as you can.
I know. It's annoying because we want to go enjoy sports, but we don't do it because it's just too much. It's literally like an event. Like you're going like traveling somewhere and it's just in your backyard. Like literally
we're
Dodger
saying
Stadium.
that, it's literally in your backyard. And we're saying that, Mike, but what about the family of four and the dad who's working two jobs? That's a real thing. And we don't talk about those people on our podcast much, but that is a real thing.